Hello, I'm Logan Phillips, and welcome to my vlog, or as my office likes to call it, the Vlogan. This is a vlog dedicated to people with special needs and those who love them. Today, we're lucky enough to have Jessie Green from the Ohio State TOPS program. Jessie is the program manager. She's a double Ohio State graduate with her bachelor's and master's degree and is currently working on her Ph.D. So she'll be a three-time Ohio State graduate. Welcome, Jessie.
Thanks for having me today.
Yep, thank you. We're anxious to hear more about TOPS, and hopefully the listeners and viewers will learn about an option that might be available for them. So can you tell us, what does TOPS stand for?
So TOPS stands for Transition Options in Post-Secondary Settings. It's such a mouthful that nobody ever uses it.
Okay, got it. So what's that mean? What does that mean, boots on the ground?
Yeah, so boots on the ground at Ohio State, we are offering a 2 or a 4-year certificate program for students with intellectual disability, which could include a multitude of disabilities. It could be autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, just a general cognitive delay, among many other disabilities. The opportunity at a college experience. Our students don't have the proper coursework. They maybe haven't done the proper testing with ACT, SAT, those sorts of things to get into Ohio State. And so this gives them the opportunity to be enrolled students, they're non-degree students that are able to audit coursework. We have an internship and work requirement. Our students engage socially on campus. They get season football tickets if they want them. That's an important question that I often get asked during recruitment. We're building self-determination and self-advocacy skills throughout the program, every step of the way. And then when students graduate from the program after 2 or 4 years, we help them, figure out where is it that they're going into the community for work. Are they staying in Columbus? We've got students from out of the Columbus and Central Ohio area. So sometimes they're going back home, which could be Cleveland, Cincinnati, and we even have out-of-state students. So connecting to resources if they're not staying in Central Ohio.
Okay, so it sounds like to me, a student would enroll in TOPS. They would potentially live on campus if they wish to or could.
Yep, we've got a couple different options. So we've got some beds in the residence halls. Right now we're in and it could change year to year, but right now we're in a real small residence hall, and there are 24 beds. We have 8 of them currently. And they're in 2-bedroom, so sharing a room sometimes for the first time with someone, and sometimes bathroom space they're sharing for the first time as well. But then we also have had a great partnership with University Village for a long time. They're an apartment complex that mostly serves students at the university at a variety of levels, and we've had many students over the last few years that have lived there. It's been a great option for them. And then we're excited because in the fall, we've got a handful of students who are doing a more traditional off-campus in a house or an apartment in the areas surrounding campus, and we'll do the whole walk to class and meetings and all that stuff.
Wow, how cool. So tell me, what additional supports does TOPS have? Because I'm certain that you don't just say, okay, here you go, you're on your own, freshman. What kind of supports does TOPS provide to make sure that there is success?
Yeah, absolutely. So we start this summer before they enroll. We always have a fall start for our students with an orientation program. We call it CODA, not to be confused by the city bus in Columbus. That's an opportunity for students to start to understand us as a staff. What are those supports? They start to get to navigate campus and see the sites, go to the Union, go to the library, go to the RPAC, kind of the main hubs of campus. And so that starts. And then in August, depending on when students are coming to campus, oftentimes it depends on their lease. It depends on if they're in the residence halls, if they're from Columbus, from further away. We start to do some travel training so that students are confident on day one. And then we really, from there in classes, students are auditing one course from the general course catalog of Ohio State with other undergrads. All of our students have an educational coach, which is an undergraduate student who goes with them. They're there to support, level the playing field. That looks different for every student and every class. It might be note-taking, or supporting note-taking. They're not doing it all. Our students are still taking notes. They're doing it together. It might be facilitating conversations with a professor, or maybe they're working in a group and the top student needs some support in how to navigate group situations and team situations. All those sorts of things. Students have required time in our academic center, which is a tutoring center. Again, it's staffed by undergraduate students who are doing an internship with us. Many of those students have taken these classes that our students are taking with the exact same instructors and professors, and so they know what the expectations are. Whereas I haven't had a lot of these courses in over a decade. And so it makes more sense. And they don't want to hang out with me. I'm, an old mom, and they want to hang out with their peers. And so that's an opportunity in the academic center to get required support, but also additional support. And so that varies the amount of time every semester based, again, student and course that they're taking. We've got job coaches on staff. So for the internships, and sometimes it's paid work, our coaches are able to go in, help support, whether it's supporting the student or supporting the work site to understand disability and what strengths a student might have and how they could adapt an environment to better support the student. It's working with both the employer and our student. And then that job coach is going to fade over time, so that students are successful. And we can always come back in if we need to learn a new skill or try something different. So that's just a very back and forth relationship depending on what's needed. And then socially, our students engaging in activities on campus. It could be going to convocation when they're a freshman. It could be going to, some of the favorites are karaoke at the Union, or flicks for free for our movie buffs. Or going to a student organization. Sometimes our organizations are huge and can be really overwhelming. So we have, again, we call them social coaches. They're undergraduate students doing their practicum with us. They go to social events and activities with students. Sometimes we do some that are just TOPS folks because some of our students prefer that more intimate, those more intimate activities versus the bigger university sponsored, but having those supports there makes a lot of our students more comfortable. They're able, if they're going out to eat, talk about budgeting and work on that. Sometimes our students need some support. Sometimes the undergraduate students need support in budgeting as well. So it's a give and take.
So like the three phases, it sounds like there's social, there's career, and there's education, and there's a coach for each one of those. Now will a person in the TOPS program come to the Nisonger Center every single day? Will you see the students every single day?
So they might not be not necessarily every day. We generally have a touch point with someone, whether it's a coach, whether it's a staff member, every day during the week, at least, just depending on what's going on. So one thing I haven't mentioned for coursework, our students, in addition to that one class that they audit, are taking another class that's taught by top staff. It's focused on job skills, it's focused on independent living skills, self-advocacy skills, all those sorts of things, because that's taught by our class and it's 4 days a week. During the first year, our students are being seen much more frequently during the first year, and then each subsequent year, we do fade those supports over time because we're not always going to be there once they graduate. And so it's really tailored to the individual. So.
And then I saw that there's a 2-year and a 4-year. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between those?
Yeah, so we started in 2010 under a federal grant, and at the time we were only a 4-year program. Some of our first students we found after 2 years were doing fantastic and were offered positions, permanent positions in the community after 2 years. And we needed a way to recognize the hard work that they had put in for those 2 years. We didn't want them to feel like they had to stay in the program for an additional 2 years so that they could get the certificate and feel like they had, accomplished that and finished that and had some closure. But we also didn't want them to, give all of that up. And so we developed the 2-year certificate because of students. It's what they and their families advocated for. And so we have the 2 and the 4-year option. Students don't need to make that decision until they're in the beginning of about halfway through the second year. And really it's just adding skills and hours. The program doesn't change if you're a 4-year. We increase your work hours because hopefully by that point you've developed some more stamina and endurance for work. You're continuing to do social activities. Sometimes the financial piece is a determinant in 2 or 4 years for some families because college is not cheap. And then for some families or some students, they need more time to mature and grow. Some families, it's my sister did 4 years, my brother did 4 years, my aunt did, everybody in my family did 4 years, so I'm doing 4 years. So it really is just there's a lot of factors that go into that decision. But if you're doing the 2-year track, you don't miss out on anything per se if you don't do the 4-year.
Like with work and those things, do you guys then provide the transportation to the work sites and that sort of thing?
No, we don't.
Okay.
But travel training is a big part of our program. So of course, being on a large campus, we have many of our work sites are on campus. Some are right in our building with other Nisonger units. Some are spread all over campus. We try and put our first years in a campus site just so that travel doesn't have to be quite as an added layer to the work piece and transitioning to a large university. But then we have students who are in positions all over Columbus. One of the great things about Ohio State is that students, as part of their tuition and fees, pay very nominal fee of $13.50. It's probably the best deal around every semester, and they get unlimited rides on the city bus, which includes the accessible paratransit that CODA has. So some of our students are using the traditional fixed route buses, and some of our students are using mainstream, which is the paratransit. Ohio State has its own bus system and its own paratransit. And so we utilize all 4 of those depending on the student. And sometimes we have to mix and match, but we'll do training with students on all of those depending on where they got to go. And some
Awesome.
just walk.
Some just walk?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Great. So how does a family learn more, or how do they find out if TOPS is right for them or an individual? How do they find out if TOPS is right for them?
So a couple places that folks can go to get more information. One is www.go.osu/TOPS, all lowercase, TOPS. That's our website. It'll take you to Nisonger's website. You can learn more. You can find the application. We also have a blog that we put up inconsistently put up a lot of information. It depends on usually if I have a student worker because they're much more skilled in that area than I am. But that is https://u.osu.edu/TOPS, all lowercase TOPS.
Oh, you're very good at that.
Because I'm constantly sharing them. But those you can kind of, the blog especially, you can kind of get a feel for the students and the work sites and staff and just things that are going on. But then also one of the big ways is, we haven't put out the dates yet, but the first one will be in September. We do a handful of information sessions that go into a lot of detail about what I've briefly talked about today. And that's the big I think the biggest way. We're at a lot of the transition fairs that happen in Central Ohio. We've gone as, further out if we're invited, just trying to spread the word, not only about our program at Ohio State, but there are currently 8 other programs across Ohio serving students with intellectual disability in post-secondary education.
Oh, awesome. So if someone were to watch this and they say, okay, I need to learn more and I've done the websites, where do they go? How would they get enrolled? Do they call you? Do they call somebody else?
So we have an application process, and it's kind of there's 2 dates, and that's because we follow university dates, because we want that experience for our students. So for students with an intellectual disability diagnoses, our priority deadline is November 1st, and might be 15th November. And there's an application that includes demographic information about the student and their skills, letters of recommendation, transcripts, IEP, psychological eval of some sort that students will submit. They can submit them anytime. If it's in before November 1st, we'll do November interviews and decisions will come out by December. February 1st is the second final deadline for the next fall. We always do fall entry, so we're working ahead. Same structure for that February deadline. That's just when we kind of open it up to anybody who needed more time to make decisions, but also sometimes we have folks that don't have an intellectual disability diagnoses, and so, but they have a developmental disability diagnoses, and so we'll work with them on that and prioritize just a little bit differently. So during the February deadline, and that application's on our website. It's a fillable form.
So if they're really on the ball, it's November.
Yep.
And if they need some more time, they're not sure, then February is still, they're not late if they apply in February.
Correct.
Is it a rolling admission process? So if I apply in November, will I know in December?
If you apply by the early decision deadline in November, you will know in December. If you apply between November and February, it's not rolling. You just have to wait till February, and we start doing interviews in February.
Okay, got it. Great. What else? I mean, do you have anything that's coming up that you would like folks to know about, or and a lasting bit of information that, hey, you should check out TOPS?
Yeah, so a couple things that come to mind. We've got some summer programs going on for 7th through 12th graders with independent living skills. That information's on the blog. It might be on the website too, I can't remember. Ask questions. It's a big process. One thing we haven't touched on is the cost. The cost is high, but there are ways to braid some funding together. And we're always trying to increase access to those opportunities for families to braid that funding. Just having conversations early, even if you are in 6th grade, that's okay. I've talked to folks as young as 3 and 4, or families of 3 and 4-year-olds. So ask questions.
And a 529 can be used to pay for.
Yeah, because students are paying tuition and fees to Ohio State. They're not paying Nisonger Center directly. 529 can be a way to help with costs, or a stable account as well.
Awesome. Great. Jessie, thank you so much for taking the time to tell us all about TOPS. I'm sure that the viewers appreciate the information, and I know that I do, and can't thank you enough for coming on today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Logan. Please like, share, and subscribe to the RRPG channel so you can stay up to date with some of the latest news in the disability community.